Origin scan, worst I've ever seen it. Missed 31 origin scans, 69%. Okay, it's time again to go over the eBay standard envelope analysis for April 2023. And I gotta tell you, this is a very colorful month on the spreadsheet. There's been a lot of issues with the scans. eBay was under 90% in all 4 scan areas that I go over, and below 70% in one of the scan areas. And I also had 6 postcards that were mailed with a unique standard envelope code with no scans. That hasn't, last month I think was 5, and now it's 6. I have an idea where the issue is, and you'll see that in a minute. I'll explain. I had no refunds or claim in April. Even with all these issues, none of my postcards came back and said they didn't receive it or whatever. I had no refunds, no messages from customers or whatever. And the post office seemed to be fine. Now with eBay standard envelope, I go over this every month. I track it in different areas, and we're going to get into the details here. And this is usually not a long video. It just goes over tracking a trend, and I'm starting to see a trend. Now when scans don't occur, it can cause us more work. Customers are watching tracking. A lot of customers watch the tracking, and when they don't see their postcard being in the mail and in movement, they usually message us, and then we gotta try to appease them until, buy some time until the card gets there. And I think a lot of the postcard buyers now know how eBay standard envelope works. It takes, once it says delivered, it takes another day or so to get to the house. So I don't get a lot of those this year, and I haven't got a lot of messages this year at all. I've only refunded 1 person that didn't receive a card this year, which is pretty good. You want to watch this video here. It's where's my postcard? And I walk through that scenario, and I have a canned message that I have on my phone and my computer that I just cut and paste or copy and paste into a message to the buyer whenever I get those questions. So it's real simple, and it buys some time until that card gets there. But that video right there will help you with that. Now we're going to walk through the details of the spreadsheet and the graphs that I've been tracking since January 1st, 2023. But I wanted to explain to the new people that haven't seen this series of videos. I have a little clip here that walks through a very high level, what do you want to call it, a flow chart of how eBay standard envelope works and how I understand it. It does show Etsy on there because I used to sell on Etsy, but Etsy uses a type of eBay standard envelope. It's a service that's provided by the post office, that UPC code, that code that's on there. And I heard Macari had started doing the same thing, using letter tracking of the same type. So you'll see Etsy on there, but I just left it on there. I wasn't going to change the clip. But it'll walk through real quick on there. If you've seen this already, you can skip at the bottom here and go over to the eBay stats. So I'll go ahead and run this clip. Here you go. Here is a slide I'm going to bring up on the big screen. This is just the process in my head on there. Not real detailed, layman terms. I don't know how everything works with this. I can speculate from my IT background, my technical background, but there are so many different ways to do it. But in a nutshell, this should explain to anybody how it works. So the first box there is you got eBay and Etsy platform. They're connected across multiple data centers and stuff like that. They're not in the same one. That's why it's got the dotted line there. They're 2 separate companies, 2 separate platforms, 2 separate programs, applications, and stuff like that. They're not shared. But I just put them in a box to make it easier. When someone buys a postcard from either eBay or Etsy, it goes to the post office. The post office then sends data to eBay or Etsy in some way, format, a file, web services, some integration is going to go up and going to come down. Either eBay and Etsy picks it up or directly goes into those platforms if they have shared access. So that's your scans. When it hits the post office, it goes back and forth into the tracking on eBay and Etsy. If everything is successful with the delivery, then you got a happy customer like at the end here. Even though the scans are not happening, most of the time the customer gets the card and they're happy. There you go. So that's how it works. Very simple. A lot of moving pieces. But I think I can put my finger on something right now where the problem is, and we're going to get into that. My power of deduction. So let's dig into the details here. Now I go through the whole month and I take 100 random mailings that I did to have an eBay standard envelope number that I've used eBay standard envelope on. So I'll get some from the top of the month, middle of the month, bottom of the month. So it's just randomly found. And I give it enough time. I usually don't build the chart until after 12, 15 days just to make sure I get enough information. And I track these things. I track the state. I want to see if there's an issue in some states. I know there's an issue in Baltimore or Philadelphia or somewhere like that right now. It's just taking forever. It's like a black hole. Things go in there and they don't come out. So I wanted to track the state. So that's column 1. And then I do the label. The label is my control. I have total control of that. When I create the label, that's 100. 100 out of 100, never miss. Then I check the origin scan, destination scan, delivery, and that's out for delivery, and delivered. The all-important delivered scan. And then I track from the time I did the label to the time it said delivered. How many days did it take the post office? And here's the chart over in the corner on this big screen here. So created is 100%. Origin scan, worst I've ever seen it. Missed 31 origin scans, 69%. Now remember, with eBay standard envelope, their acceptance scan is not required like on packages. Your carrier or your post office cannot scan these. It is done at the sorting centers, the distribution centers, by the high-speed machines. So if you take this to the post office and ask them to scan it, they're not going to be able to. And most of them don't even know what it is. Or your carrier is not going to be able to. So there's no acceptance scan. It just needs a scan somewhere in the route. So 69% for origin scans, 31%. Destination scan, that shows the customers and us that it's moving. Missed 15 scans, 85%. Then the out for delivery. This is when it hits one of the last sorting centers, it's out for delivery. It's not in the carrier hands yet, probably. They missed 11 of those, 89%. Then the all-important delivered scan. They missed 13, 87%. Then I had 6 mailings with no scans. And at least one scan is required somewhere. And here's my thought about this. So as you look through there, as a postcard travels the route, say from here to California, from Illinois to California, it's not going to go through the same machine every day. Why is there no scans in the beginning and some scans at the end? Or there's just no scan. They're all different machines, all different sites. If the barcode was wrong on the envelope, it wouldn't pick up anywhere. But some of these will show an origin scan and then no scans. I think the problem is eBay getting the information from the post office and putting it into their system. Right now, I have to think that because it's one single point of failure where all these other scans are done at multiple different centers throughout the country. Not every machine is going to have the same problem at the same time. Coincidences like that do not happen that often. I think with all this red on this chart, I think it's an eBay issue. They're not importing the data. And I've seen them having issues with that in the past. And they are sending out some test mailings. A lot of us might have got those where you get a letter saying, hey, we're doing testing of the eBay standard envelope to make it better, and they tape a empty rigid mailer in there. Well, they're just testing, I guess, to see the scans and stuff, what's going on, which is good. It's what I do here, and I've been watching it. And they should do that to see how it's working. But I do think the problem is more on the eBay side, getting the information and then compiling it and presenting it to us. And that chart is just full of red. But how does it look for the year? This is the graph I keep for the year. Look at that blue line. That's origin. Just dumped. Red was down. Delivered was down last month. but everything is pretty well below the dotted line. And that line in the sand there, the dotted line, is 90%. I figure if it goes below that, we get more work because customers are not seeing tracking. I'm glad this month I haven't had any issues with all these no scans into the system. I haven't got called from customers or stuff like that, so maybe I lucked out. But usually when it's this low, I usually get a lot of messages, but this month I didn't. But that's just starting to show a trend that they're going down in quality. They were real good in January, February, and now they're starting to dip. And Origin did well last month, above 90%, but then it just dropped. And then you're delivered and stuff. What's the average day for post office? So this is another thing that helps me determine where the problem is. If the post office had all these issues and these no scans, the number of days, average days it takes to get to from my house to your house in the mail if you bought a postcard should be higher if there's a post office issue. The post office actually went from 6 days down to 5 days this month. Last month they were averaging 6 days across 100 mailings, and now they went down to 5. So I really do think there's an issue with the data import into eBay, because the post office is still 5-6 days. That's not really showing a trend. There's an issue there. When you have an issue and things don't show up and the customers say they didn't get it, one of the good things about eBay Standard Envelope is there's eBay Standard Envelope insurance. All you have to do is get the customer to open a case, make sure they say didn't receive it, refund them the money, wait 30 days before 90 days, and put a claim in. And this video here will walk you through the whole form on how to fill that out. You need a couple screen prints, and then you send it to them. I think it's a third party. I've gotten my money back in less than 48 hours. Last year, I received back, I refunded $70 or so, and I got back about $70. This year I did one. I got a claim to put in, and I've been dragging my feet a little bit. I forgot about it. But I have a spreadsheet, and that video shows you how I track that and keep, you got to remember to do it after 30 days and before 90. When you put that ESU code from eBay Standard Envelope eBay into the form, it knows somehow that it's what date it was, the shipping label was created. So it goes by from the time the shipping label was created, and I walked through all that through that video. Now I'm going to continue to track this throughout the year, and every month do a video on 100 mailings, and we're going to see the trend and see how it goes better. With eBay doing the testing themselves, hopefully by July or August everything starts going back to normal. But thanks for watching. Make sure you're subscribed and you hit the little bell icon so when I put these out every month, you can come in and take a quick look and see where the problem's going on and see how we're doing with eBay Standard Envelope.